Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed 5-minute podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now stay tuned for your host, Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
It's Bebatonrouge Soul Sundays with Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, showered with power series.
That you have been seeking. What are those 3 things? Write them down and let's just set them to the side for a second, because once you have an idea of what that is, it'll help you to cultivate and break down how you can become empowered with those things and you can turn those situations around. Now, it's interesting because some people can abuse empowerment and it can become somewhat of a vice, if you will. And maybe not even a vice, but maybe something that you become hypersensitive when it comes to, I have to do this, I have to do that. Well, what we want to talk about today with empowerment is how you can be balanced with it. Because here's the thing. Throughout this entire journey for this month, I am focusing on how you can take the power that you have within that and standing on God and trusting that if you do what you're supposed to be doing consistently, praying, working, whatever it is, but just doing the work, y'all, not just talking about it, but actually being about it. When we think about these things, when we focus on these things, it really gives us an opportunity to become better as whole human beings and to become better as people who are striving for greatness, who are really desiring to be the best possible people that we can be. When you are in that position and you're thinking about the meaningful things in life, you're thinking about how you can be independent in your thoughts and how you can, really soar and excel. Once you begin to do that, here is the part that people don't talk about. When you're able to be independent as an individual, when you are able to operate in your specific authentic purpose, when you are able to be an original, when you are able to fight for who you are and who God has called you to be, let me tell you what that ends up doing. That prepares you to be interdependent. That prepares you to be able to work with other people. Because here's the thing. Yes, greatness begets greatness. But also remember this too. Being great does not mean that you have to be isolated forever. There are seasons and times as you cultivate your greatness, as you operate in your place of empowerment and you are building yourself up, you are pulling from within, you are looking for that independence. You're finding a way to make that impact. You're really, really trying to get to the bottom of what this thing is for you. Yes, there will be times where your empowerment will be contingent upon you being separate from other people. So I don't want to keep that out of the equation because it's important. But what I don't want you to get twisted is that it's levels to this thing, y'all. It's really levels. And you don't want to be a person that is so focused on the goals and so focused on the end game that you're not cultivating who you are as a good human being. If you look up the definition of empowerment, it says authority or power given to someone to do something, or the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. Typically, you will hear that word associated with women a lot, with women's empowerment. But let me tell you something. Empowerment is for everybody. We all want to be in a place where we become stronger and we become more confident in taking control over the life that God has given us, the calling that we have on our lives, the purpose that we have on our lives. And the thing that I don't want you to miss is that you have so much worth and so much value in you. And in order for you to activate that thing and operate in that thing so that you can really maximize your experience, so that you can really stand on your own, it is so important that you understand at the end of the day, everything that you do, everything that you put your energy into, when you begin to walk in that power, when you begin to walk in that strength and that confidence, you want to be the person that other people can look at and say, you know what? I I can take a page out that book. They could take the ugliest, worst page out of your book. They could take the happiest, most beautiful page out of your book. But because you are walking in the strength of who you are, it is encouraging other people to do the same. There's some of you who are listening right now and you just don't think what you have is of value. You don't understand empowerment at all. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to get out of the hole, but you don't know how. Well, let me tell you how you start. The first thing you have to do is start at the beginning. Start back at 1. Number 1, when you wake up in the morning, you have another opportunity to decide what your day is going to look like. Now, when you're talking about being empowered, the first thing I want you to ask yourself is this. Okay, what am I going to do today so that I can be my best self? Do I need to make sure I eat breakfast? Do I need to work out? Do I need to make sure I put some clothes on and get out of here? Do I need to get to work on time? Or do I need to get to work earlier? Do I need to take a meeting? Do I need to go to the doctor? Do I need to check on somebody? You need to figure out early on, what is it going to take for you to feel like you are actually accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish for you? A part of building your confidence is practice. A part of building your confidence is participation. You have to participate. In order for you to ignite any type of empowerment in your life, you have to be an active participant in your story. Too many of us sit on the outside and we watch our lives happen. It is time for you to infuse yourself in your own story. You need to know your own storyline. You need to be able to figure out exactly what that's going to be for you, but you have to do it. If you're saying, okay, Robin, I understand, but how do I do it? Well, the first thing you have to do is start with what you know. Even if the basics is, you know what, God, you woke me up today. I'm healthy. I'm whole. This kind of thing has been bothering me. Let's go back to the list of 3 things I mentioned when we first started. What on that list can you change? Is somebody making you mad because they're not doing what you want? Perhaps God may not change the situation, but he may change you in it. And that may be where your empowerment comes from. Perhaps there's a situation or a business deal or there's something where you feel like you're getting shorted or you can't get your money back. Let me tell you the cool thing about money. You can always get more. You can always get more. You have to ask yourself, is this adding to my life or taking from my life? Is this increasing my life or decreasing my life? If every time this person comes at me with this foolishness and I fuss back with them and I argue with them, where does that leave me? Y'all ever heard that saying? If somebody's passing down the street and a fool is arguing with a wise person and the wise person is going back and forth with them, they don't know which one is the fool and they don't know which one is the wise one. You want to be the wise one. And in order for you to be empowered, you have to figure out what that's going to look like in terms of confidence for you. How will you build your confidence? Let me tell you something. If you entertaining people who sitting on a stoop talking about the mess and the drama, guess what? You're going to eventually be doing the same thing. Okay, you might be separate and apart for a minute, but if that's something you continue to put your energy toward, you will end up doing the same thing. It's just the way it is. Where energy goes, energy flows. Energy flows, energy goes. That's exactly what it is. If that's the way you're going to put it, then that's what it's going to be. If you're going to take that time to focus on things that are not adding value and making the changes that you need, those are the results you're going to get. Another thing I want you to consider, if you're in a situation where you may not like your weight, you might think you're too small. You might think you're too big. You just might be unhappy in your skin and in your body. Okay, well, how are you going to be empowered with that? Don't eat the cheeseburger. Don't eat the fries. Stop hanging out with people who encourage you to spend all your money on food that's going to make you fat or cause you to not eat when you need to eat, whatever the case may be. But you have to decide. It's so many times in my life I can tell you personally that was me. It was always everybody else's fault. You know what I'm saying? If I felt overweight or fat, or if I felt like I was too small or too this or too that, it was always some type of excuse I had attached to it. I could never be empowered like that because everything was always everybody else's fault. I never took ownership. I never took responsibility. You cannot be empowered when you don't take responsibility. You cannot be empowered if you don't say, you know what? Enough is enough. I can't fit my clothes anymore. I'm unhappy. This is not cool. I want it to be different. Y'all, listen, You have to take the steps to make the changes. I don't like how he treats me. I don't like how she treats me, but I'm afraid to let the relationship go. You have to find it within yourself to take the first step. If you don't take the first step, it's going to continue. People are only going to do what you allow them to do. You become empowered when you say, that's enough. I want my strength back. That's enough. I want my confidence to be high. That's enough. I'm no longer going to continue to feel like I'm not beautiful. I'm no longer going to feel like I'm not handsome or I'm not a good catch. I'm no longer going to feel like I'm not smart enough for this job. I'm no longer going to feel like my ability to start my own business is just small and I don't really think I can do it like other people. Enough is enough. Enough of looking at everybody else making the app and you want to make one, but you're afraid because you don't have any money. Enough of looking at everybody else's situation feeling like, oh my God, I can't do that. You have to figure out within you. It starts today. That's why I'm breaking it down in the simplest form. Start with number one. When you get up, what do you need to do? If you say, oh, I'm so big. Oh, I'm so small. Oh, I hate my job. Oh, I can't stand this relationship. Okay, whatever. And it might be other stuff. I'm not saying everything. I'm just throwing out random examples. But you fill in the blank specifically for what you're going through. Because everybody's going through something and everybody is not going through the same thing. Everybody could be going through similar things, but everybody has to go on their own empowerment journey for themselves. So with that being said, whatever the case is, pick what your thing is and okay, let's just stick with the weight thing because that's what we're on right now. If you don't like your size when you wake up in the morning, decide right then. Take it moment by moment. Sometimes, y'all, you can't find your empowerment because you're too busy trying to go 6 months from now. You're too busy trying to go a week from now. Take it meal by meal. If you know your issue is food, take it meal by meal. Start small. If you say, man, every time I go to Chick-fil-A, man, I got to get that number one with them fries. That, y'all, years ago when I started to change how I was eating, guess what I did? I took a small step. I'm going to tell you what I ordered. In fact, this is good. I think this is going to really help somebody because this is what helped me. Several years ago, probably like 10 years ago now, my main meal at Chick-fil-A would be a number one with a Coke. That's a chicken sandwich, fries, and a Coke, right? So I kept getting that, and it's, my favorite meal, right? Eventually, when I kept feeling like, okay, I'm tired of carrying weight, but I didn't have the strength to just cut out Chick-fil-A altogether. I don't think that I had to, but I was like, man, I don't want to keep eating stuff that's going to make me fat. It's counterproductive. I want to, be lean. I want to be fit and all of these different things, right? Well, guess what ended up happening? 2 years ago no. We're going to go back. I think it was 4 years ago. It's 2018, so maybe 5 years ago. I started getting the number one, but instead of fries, I ordered a salad instead. Yeah, it's a couple cents upcharge, but it was worth it. So they had at the time, they had this delicious berry dressing that they don't sell anymore, and I'm really not feeling that. That's a sidebar. But anyway, now I do the avocado ranch. But needless to say, I would get the number one, and I would get my Coke, but instead of the fries, I would get a salad. So that was a small step, right? So over time, I realized it was making a difference because I was cutting out the fries. Now, again, it's a small thing, but over time, this is something called a slight edge. When you do things over time, a little bit, day by day, taking it moment for moment, second for second. And then one day you look up 6 months later and boom, you have an incredible arsenal of change. Right? This is how we find empowerment, doing things little by little, focusing on that end game, but taking it step by step and not getting ahead of yourself. So let's go back 2 years ago. 2 years ago in, May 2018 would make 2 years ago, I stopped drinking Coca-Cola. I have not had a Coke in 2 years. So now my order changed again. I was like, okay, well, I got my salad. I still like my little sandwich from time to time, but now I'm just going to get a tea. So eventually that might all fade out and I might not eat any of that stuff other than the salad. But my point to you is, y'all, if you're going to find your empowerment, you have to take things little by little. You have to learn how to Be patient with yourself and find your confidence within by starting at 1. Look at the list of those 3 things that have been bothering you and start small. If it is your food and you usually get a big breakfast with the bacon, the eggs, the toast, the cheese, the grits, the hash browns, the waffles, the pancakes, you might get all of that stuff. Well, you know what? Maybe you can say, okay, this time I'm not ready to completely get rid of my bacon, but instead of 5 slices, I'm going to do 2 slices. Okay. Instead of doing a whole piece of cheese, I'm going to do a half piece of cheese. And instead of doing this big old bowl, I'm going to do half the size of the bowl. All right. You still may have had everything on the plate, but now you're starting to control your portions. And then the next time you say, okay, the next time, God, just help me. You figure out, okay, look, do I really want to change how this thing is for me? Then you're going to up the ante. You say, okay, this time I'm not going to do any meat. I won't do any meat. And then you may say, okay, I eat breakfast every day. I'm only going to do meat twice a week, 3 times a week, or I'm only going to do 1 piece of meat. Yo, my point to you is this. In order for you to be empowered and not feel like you're constantly failing at what you try and you're beating yourself up, take it in tiny bite-sized chunks. Take it in small portions. This is how you are going to build yourself up. This is how you're going to take your life back. If you're a woman who feels like, man, my self-esteem is low, I don't feel beautiful, I don't feel pretty anymore, I don't care what you have going on. Put some money aside and go get your hair done. Now, if you already know how to do your hair and make it look pretty, take some time out and do your hair. Okay, go get your nails done. Go get your feet done. Go take a walk in the park. Go treat yourself to some lunch. Go treat yourself to a movie. Begin to treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Begin to see yourself the way you want to be seen, because it starts with you. If you're a man and you feel like, man, I feel like I can't, find anybody. I want a wife and I want this and I want that. I feel like as a man, I want things to change. Well, listen, as a man, you have to begin to look at yourself as the man that God created you to be. Same thing with you. The only way you can be empowered within and build your confidence back up and get yourself back out there is to start with something small. If fitness might not be a problem for you, you might be totally fine with your size and shape, you're cool with that. Well, then don't focus on that. Do you want to change your career? Do you want to change your, upgrade who you're hanging around? Maybe the people, maybe your boys, maybe they're doing old stuff and you've outgrown that. Maybe that's what's causing you to be stifled. Perhaps you're in a situation where, you know what, I'm in a great job, but guess what? I want to start my own business. I want to start my own company. You have to find a way to be empowered from within by starting at 1 with you. Start at 1. That is my message for you today. Start at 1. That 1 being you. That 1 being within. And then you ask God, first and foremost, to help guide you and lead you on this path and this journey so that you can be empowered. Again, this entire Showered with Power series is all about you keeping your focus on the main thing. You want to operate in purpose. You want to be that original. You want to be that warrior within. You absolutely want to be empowered. This is who you want to be. This is who you are called to be. You don't want to waste any time any longer. And that brings us to our last and final letter that we will talk about on the last Sunday in April. And that is the letter R for resilience. I will bring it all together, guys. You will understand why all of the elements of power go hand in hand and how you will be showered with power in your life when you take these steps. Now, make sure you check out Bebatonrouge.com for all the latest and greatest information. And make sure you share it with somebody as well. Meet me here next week. I'm wired to inspire. I hope you are too. Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on Bebatonrouge, exclusively every Sunday in April, where we are talking about being showered with power. Power is an acronym. P is for purpose, O is for originality, W is for the warrior within, E is for empowerment, and R is for resilience. Now, if you have not caught up with us so far this month, I want you to make sure you go back and check out all of the episodes and you can get caught up and you can figure out this process with us so far. So far, so good. Let's do a quick recap. On the first week, the first Sunday in April, I believe was April 1st, which is Easter Sunday, we talked about purpose. The following week, we talked about originality, and then we talked about the warrior within, how you have to learn how to fight your own fight. You need to go hard for your own battles before you go to anybody else. You have to discover what your artillery is. You have to discover what exactly is going to take for you to win the battle and the wars that come in your life. Now, today we are talking about empowerment. Now, I love this word. Okay. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Essence Music Festival. I'm more than sure that many of you listening are. But there's something called the Empowerment Series. It's always all over the entire weekend. And it's just a litany of different experiences that encourage people to be empowered and to operate from their best selves. And I love that word because, believe it or not, it's a word that people don't use a lot. But if we probably lived it more, our lives would be a lot better and a lot more fulfilling. Okay. Now, empowerment has the word power right in it. So that alone should just tell you how much it can affect you in a positive way. It can impact you in a positive way. So when I think about being empowered, you can think about all of the different times in your life where you may have felt your lowest. You may have felt that, I don't have the strength to move on. I really don't understand what's happening. I don't know what's going on. You can have all of these different emotions and all of these different things that you're toiling with, right? And you don't realize that when you're dealing with with empowerment and empowering yourself, is when you pretty much take whatever you have and you pour it back into you to fill your own tank up. So that's what we're talking about today. Personal tank filling. That's essentially what empowerment is. So I want to just talk to you. I like to chop it up when I talk. So let's just chop it up. Let's just run it for a couple of minutes because I want you to start thinking today. I want to get the wheels turning, and I want you to really, really put yourself in a position of mental power right now. Think about in your mind, just take a couple moments. And I want you to think about some things what are the last 3 things that have bothered you? What are the last 3 things that you say, you know what, God, I need some assistance on this. This is driving me crazy. Or, oh man, I feel so sad or depressed about this. Or, oh, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. What are the last 3 things that...
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to the inspirationspecialist.life or I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again, and see you next time.